Hi there. We need to talk. This is going to be quick, so I'm not going to bother you with a whole bunch of pretense. You already know this shit. If you've been on YouTube for 20 minutes, you know this shit. So let's talk about it really, really quickly. The online left has a pretty big issue with the demonstrable harm it does to female creators. I'm just going to call it what it fucking is. If you've ever looked at the harassment that certain content creators, such as ContraPoints, Lindsay Ellis, and Merrick DeVille, have received, you will know very clearly that there is an issue. Now, I want to be very, very sort of transparent about my views here and also what I'm not saying, right? So, first off, I am a fan of all three of these women. I don't always agree with them, but I enjoy their content quite a bit. And I've said before, ContraPoints is one of the reasons I transitioned. I see a lot of people in the trans community say things like, most people who watch Contra are cis. That's true. I would bet that's very true based on her analytics. Good. Cis people seeing a trans woman out there being funny, being, you know, degenerate, being silly, whatever she's doing, helps people, understand us. Are there arguments about the fact that Natalie Wynn is a very pretty trans woman and, you know, she's white, blonde, and by definition, she is, you know, not representative of every trans person? Sure, but it's her channel. I'm not going to really necessarily, like, hold that against her. Now, what I'm not saying about this is that I'm not saying that it is not okay to critique these people. Now, I genuinely find a lot of the arguments against online leftists to be usually false. Often because they're coming from a very rabid, very aggressive, very harmful place. And there's a lot of people focusing on memeing rather than engagement. Now, there are some very valid claims that one can make against any one of these three women. That's fine. But I have a concern about critique as a whole when it's done in a way that does not promote either education, rehabilitation, or overall improvement of discourse. So an example of this would be, in the times where all three of these women have been negatively affected by Twitter, people's critiques of them are not necessarily a problem. It is, however, a problem when those critiques go into the hundreds or thousands of people and are also part of the noise of Nazis hiding behind pit crew avatars lashing out at them. I think it's very easy for people that are part of the mob to think that they're not a bad person, that they're not doing something wrong, they're not doing something harmful. And in many cases, that's probably the case. They're not doing something directly harmful, but they forget that they're part of that momentum. They forget that they're part of that push. Does that make sense? Like, it's really easy to gang up on someone you think is wrong. It's really easy to attack them. And now you're going to have people that are going to say that, you know, Jess, you're saying that, like, making fun of someone over the internet is wrong. No, not necessarily. But when we're talking about online creators, I think we need to be very clear about the fact that critique is fine, but what is the aim of that critique? If it's just being angry, okay, cool, it's your platform, you do what you want. But the problem is if you actually want people to improve, you're probably going to have better critique than that. And, to be honest, if we just throw things at everything at the wall, right, every single argument coming up, many of them will be substantial and constructive critique, but they're going to be part of the overall noise when stuff goes viral to immediately become a mob and immediately get pushed hard on this person. We've seen this again and again and again. And for every time something good has come out of it, that is, James Charles recently is being dragged on Twitter again for being a predator. And from what I can see from the data, that allegation seems to have some merit. I don't know for sure. I'm not his lawyers. I'm also not a fan of James Charles, so whatever, fuck it. But there is a problem with this system. Because, well, yes, that mob justice can get results. Worked with R. Kelly. Fuck, it's working with James Charles. Like, the problem is that I think sometimes that gun is aimed too quickly at content creators who either A, are having a dumb moment because people do that, because they're human, or B, are being misinterpreted and people go in looking to give the worst faith criticism humanly possible. I think this is a problem because the people that seem to get the most harm by this shit is a lot of women online. And now people are going to say that I'm, white knighting for these people, which, again, if I could be a cute lesbian on a white horse with a sword, fucking do it. But that's not the point here. The point here is I actually want to make this argument for everyone. I think we look at being online incorrectly. I think we look at it as an attempt to be lulzy and funny and all this stuff. And I think it's good for that. I definitely get a sense of that and also a sense of community from trans Twitter. But when someone becomes a public persona, that is, they become a public figure, I think we need to really rethink our ways of engaging with this. Because in the past, before the internet, yeah, there were tabloids, yeah, there was like gossip, but people weren't demonstrably harmed in the way they are today. The internet allows for instant access to that person. Now you could say they could just turn off Twitter's notifications, they could just disconnect, but the problem is you still know what's happening. It still creates anxiety. And if they give an apology too soon, they're disingenuous and they're often saying a lot of mistakes. If they give it too late, it's considered to be calculating and Machiavellian. I just don't like the way this stuff works. And I don't necessarily have a better way to do it at the moment, but I want to be really clear with myself, and this goes for the community here, what little people we have right now. I want to make this sort of a thing. Be better about being online. Like, we need to really consider the ways we engage. The point of this channel is to sustain and improve people's mental health. And I do not want, even if I'm angry with another content creator, to aim that critique I have at them in such a way where it leads to real harm for them personally. Let's be very clear. As much as people like to pretend it's not an issue, all three of these women have been negatively impacted. I'm using them as examples. There's tons of others, but they're the three that come to mind. Lindsay Ellis got chased off Twitter because she tried to explain herself and people wouldn't do it. I don't know the exact interactions that happened in that moment, but I can understand why someone would just deactivate their account. Makes sense. I explained that in Lindsay Ellis video. Go look at it. If we're talking about Contra, no, Contra's video on canceling is basically psychologically accurate in my opinion. It just is. The way that the internet works with ideas and ways it frames people does turn into these sort of abstractions and generalizations. And I think that's a problem. In the case of Merrick DeVille, go listen to Merrick DeVille's conversation with Vosh. It's on his channel. Merrick DeVille had people edit a picture that looked like it was from her YouTube channel saying she did a bombing. Because she made a bunch of people upset by claiming something that was factually and historically true. The idea that the punishment fits the crime does not exist for the people that do this shit, and I really don't understand why. My understanding of leftism, and granted, I'm not a theory bitch. I'm not. Sorry. I'm ADHD. Reading is fucking a pain in the ass. I'm good. I did my master's. I'll read when I feel like it. But my understanding is that by definition, your goal as a leftist is to make the world a better place. And by definition, make the world a better place so that people can be more themselves, and we get away from the things that in humanity that have been effectively toxic. For example, retributive justice. The idea that retribution is the way to solve problems only feels good to the person who's doing it and the people that are watching. It does nothing to make the world better. This is why I am against the death penalty, because I don't like the state having that power. This is why I'm against stigma against non-acting pedophiles. Now, notice I said non-acting. If someone hurts a kid, fuck them. Full stop. That's a different discussion, and we have to figure out how to align that with our values while also dealing with that situation effectively. I'm not saying this in a way that is somehow redeeming any of those people. What I'm saying is, if someone's not acting, and I'll have a better argument for this later. I'm actually going to talk about this at some point. I've been holding back for fear of any kind of blowback, because once you start talking about issues of abuse, people get really squirrely. I am very hesitant to use retributive justice in almost every situation unless this person has demonstrably done evil. That is, they have killed people, they have hurt children. There's a mile of difference between someone who has done something in a very cold, calculated, cruel, and aggressive way versus other situations that are much smaller. And so I don't want to be like cut out of context or misunderstood. My point here is very simple. We need to, by all rights, think about our behavior online in regards to how does this lead to education and rehabilitation. The idea that we're making the world a better place via chasing people off Twitter is not a great system. And in my opinion, the people that do this should be challenged. One of the things, and I'll be very clear about this, one of the things I'm really scared of about building this channel is that people are going to either use my name or figure out ways to fuck with my career, fuck with my clients, fuck with a whole bunch of stuff, because the online left seems to really have a problem with women and seems to have a really hard time dealing with living out their values. And I don't want to be a target, but I also feel like I want to have a voice. I am not the smartest person in the world. Oh, hey, Hanging Wednesday. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. As I was saying, I'm not the most intelligent person in the world, but I am somebody who has things to say and wants to say them and wants to get better at saying them and wants to put things out there. I actually recently just had a conversation with my boss about trying to be more careful online about how I talk about things. Like, we've actually had to think about this because there's concerns about, at some point, people just coming after me. And I see the ways that people treat Merrick DeVille or Contra or Lindsay Ellis or any number of female YouTubers who have been lashed out at in some of these incredibly gross ways. Things that lead to eventual doxing, assault. Like, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want my family to have to deal with that. But I do want to be able to speak out, and I want to be able to cultivate a community that is mentally healthy enough to know that this system of deplatforming and attacking and lashing out, combined with the people giving substantial critique, creates a mob scene that is incredibly harmful to people. And not just the actual content creators you're doing this towards, you're also being harmful to each other. It's not just everyone dogpiles that person. Anyone that even speaks up on their behalf or tries to challenge also gets dogpiled by the mob. This is really, really problematic. And it's not something that's like the last year issue. It happens again and again and again, and I dread the day that it fucking happens to me. If you are a leftist and you believe in rehabilitation, now I know that those values do not always work with reality. There are situations, as I mentioned before, acting pedophiles, people who are doing violent or incredibly gruesome, intentional premeditated murder. those are different situations and we need to really talk about and figure out ways to deal with them. But in cases that are less severe, dealing with some sort of redemption or rehabilitation is key. You cannot advocate for making the world a better place and then lash out at everyone who disagrees with you. Or at very least, if you're going to lash out, do it at our enemies. As I've said, conservatism is pathological. By definition, these people are lashing out and being a harm to themselves and others. You have to do what you have to do. But other leftists, I don't understand this. I don't understand this drive. And again, I get why there's the paranoid thought that leftists online who do this, in some cases, aren't leftists. There's Nazis with fucking pit crew avatars or simply an anime or a furry avatar and basically lash out in these awful ways. They're using the momentum of progressives getting angry to jump into the fucking mob scene. And you can't tell me that doesn't happen. We know that people have fucking sock puppet accounts. Anyone that's a trans person in the audience should damn well know how many sock puppet accounts we deal with. Seriously. How many sock puppets with all of 2 followers have come on there and started telling you you're not a woman? Seriously, like, I don't know how these people make these so fast. It's actually pretty impressive, other than it's horrific. So I want to make it clear. I want to start a conversation on this. I want this shit to end. I know that's like a weird pipe dream goal, but I would like online groups to be able to still be fun and interactive and not become a mental health vortex of pain and terror for people. There is nothing that any of these creators have done that warrants any sort of violence. There's nothing these creators have done that warrants any sort of harm or abuse. Full stop. It's just the way it is. And the fact that it keeps happening to women makes it doubly gross, because that shows there's a very weird double standard. I don't see people trying to dox H-Bomber guy. I don't see people like this going after like male creators in the same way. They might hate them, but they don't do this. Not in entirely the same way, and not with the same vitriol. So I want to be really clear to everybody who's listening, not just the reactionaries. I'm going to ask you, do you really want to live in that world? Because if you do, seek fucking help. And to the people who have substantial critique against these creators, my argument would be, good, post those through video, post those in a twit longer, put them out there, but don't add to the pile. You can have your critique and you can get it out to your communities or the people that follow you, and not help jump into this mob scene that happens. When are we going to functionally when are we going to functionally and unanimously condemn this? I don't understand it. I don't. So this is my challenge to anyone watching this video. If you want to promote mental health, if you want to be part of this community, if you want to be somebody who's living and working towards the world you want, be aggressive if you have to with our enemies. If they're too far gone to have any empathy for you, sometimes we have to fight back. That's just a thing in Minecraft. But with each other, can we please try to have benefit of the doubt? Can we please try not to drag people online? Can we try not to jump into the mob scene when some content creator's name is in the trending? Please, I'm asking this of you. This is the challenge. Be who you need to be. Be the person that is necessary to bring about the worldview you want. If you think that socialism or SOCDEM or whatever variation of leftist progressive discussion is going to make the world a better place, then if you cannot see that those are compassion-based arguments, yes, they have systemic effects. Yes, there's some very positive stuff that argues that these are practical, but besides that, they're compassion-based arguments. Anyone that says they don't give a fuck about other people is immediately, in my mind, dangerous and difficult to be around. That shit is edgy. Get done with it when you're 15 and move on. But if you really want to make the world a better place, you have to carry this into your regular life. And that includes your online life. Hanging Wednesday said, focus it on the argument and not the speaker. Dogpiling the person will not move anything forward, improve anything, or really convince anyone that isn't already on your side. Exactly. Exactly. Like, people are literally trying to get somebody to change their mind on something, and then, like, they just keep going at it. They give them no time. They give them no ability to, like, reconsider. Like, am I the only one that understands how humans work? Like, people need time to come to a new thing or realize they've done something wrong. What bothers me about the Lindsay Ellis situation, for example, is she actively fucking clarified it in an incredibly effective way, and that you still have dumb motherfuckers saying this is racist. And most of them are just white people online. What the fuck? The same thing's true with fucking Contra. Bunch of people jumped down her throat saying she's a trans medicalist, but didn't have any real evidence. They literally misunderstood a video, the aesthetic. They literally thought the character Justine was a trans medicalist when she was literally the opposite end of the spectrum. She was arguing for performative theory. Like, don't call yourself a leftist if you can't do basic fucking media comprehension. The fuck? Merrick DeVille argued one thing. Like, seriously, she literally mentioned that Stalin interacted with Hitler and that Russia almost joined the Axis, which is historically and overwhelmingly true. And she was dragged online and had fake claims that made their way to the fucking FBI. Watch that interview with her and Vosh. She literally says that her boyfriend called up the goddamn FBI, and they're like, oh yeah, we already know about it. We know she didn't do it. Which is one creepy, because how the fuck did the FBI already know about this? But also, thank God they fucking didn't think she did it. Like, holy shit. This stuff goes into the real world, and I don't understand. Like, are some of you just broken? Like, are you just operating on a worldview where you just want to see people suffer and be harmed? Stop. Get some help. If I was doing any kind of editing, there would have been that fucking Michael Jordan right there that would have said, stop, get some help. Hanging Wednesday said, I think part of this is that viewers get reactive in their takes, and then even when it's clarified, they can't go back, and then they admit that they had a bad take. They KFC double down. That's so true. By the way, if there's any artists out there, I would like an emote for the eventual Discord that is literally just an image of the KFC double down with the words double down on it, because I want that emote. Also, I'm still looking for an animator for doing an opening, so just hit me up. But no, they absolutely do double down. We don't want to give people the benefit of the doubt. We don't want to, like, go in with this with good faith. And I fucking hate it. I just fucking hate it. I'm running over right now in my time because I'm getting emotional because I don't understand. To hear the things some people have gone through is so incredibly horrifying. And I'm not even just talking about those three women. They're examples. Hear and go watch the 3 videos that Brennan Beckwith made about Kelvin Gara's hate mob. Look at the way that Corvidae, who says some spicy and kind of weird takes occasionally, people just jump down their throat. Like, why? It's literally just... It's just Corvidae doing Corvidae stuff. Like, this isn't the end of the world. I just don't understand this urge, this tendency to lash out, and how it in any way fits with what world we want to build. I want a world where kids don't go to sleep hungry. I want a world where women aren't afraid to be online. I want a world where we consider other people and give them the benefit of the doubt until such time that they prove otherwise. Hanging Wednesday said how the Discord servers of certain creators mob up and lash out at people who disagree with their parasocial buddy. Yeah, no, there is a way in which there is very much this idea that you have to like and be social as a leftist. There's ways that people use this as a social flair rather than actually like politically useful ends. The problem is the Discords are so fucking varied. Like, I've looked at Demon Mama's Discord. By the way, Demon Mama's great. I love her. She's the best. But like, I've looked at her Discord and it's super nice. It's super friendly. Vosh's too. Like, for all the shit Vosh gets online, it's just kind of chill in there. It just is. Right? Luxander's is super chill. I literally just collect Discords, by the way, because I want the emotes. I'm going to be really honest about my behavior. I don't do a lot of talking in there other than maybe post some of my videos and say hi. Or post cute selfies. But, like, no, really. I fucking love those Discords, but I know other ones aren't like this. There's some out there that are really toxic, that are engaging in a whole bunch of debate that is probably really aggressive and not really my place. That's fine. But yeah, when someone organizes their Discord, even just by the language of it, and move and unintentionally sort of like through stochastic terrorism essentially convinces people to lash out at this person, you're doing harm. Stop it. Just stop it. So I'm going to leave that there for now. I've whined enough. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Remember, the comments are reviewed every time by my partner or another person that I will choose. If you say something transphobic and shitty, it just won't be seen by me. Have fun. We want conversation. We are okay with disagreement. If you think there's some data point that I'm off on, please give me files, give me stuff. Cool, send it. But again, transphobia or bigotry of any kind is not to be tolerated here. Full stop. So, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell if you'd like notifications, and if you would like to donate, you can go to streamlabs.com/transgirltherapist/tip, and you can donate during stream, or anytime really. If you do donate when we're offline, I will make sure to run it during the stream coming up, because I think everyone should get a cute little animated GIF. If you want to become a patron, you can do so at Patreon, patreon.com/transgirltherapist. I want to get guests on here. There's a couple of therapists I know that I think would be really great. And I think that like having more conversations with other content creators would be great. There's one I'm talking to right now. The Luxander video is still in hold. Once Luxander gets their video out there about BoJack Horseman, I will just release that video. It is 4 fucking hours long of an amazing conversation, and it's great. So look forward to that. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, okay? See ya.